So welcome back to this channel once again, and today in this video tutorial I'll be covering reading record from multiple PF in CL program. Okay, so earlier in my previous video I covered how you can read a record from a PF in CL program, either a one record or all the records of that PF. But here in this case, in this video, I'll tell you how we can declare multiple PFs in a single CL program and how we can read them. So let's start. So here I have two PFs, CLPF1 and CLPF2. Okay, and I have already compiled them and having some data in those two PFs. So I'll show you the data quickly. Okay, so this PF has two records, CLPF1, and this one also, this one has three records. Okay, now in this program, as you can see, I declared four variables and declared those two files, CLPF1 and CLPF2. So I can, if I would be declaring a file in PF, file in CL program, sorry. So in that case, I can only define only one file. But if I want to declare more than one file in a CL program, then I have to use the open identifier. Okay, so this open identifier would be helpful in declaring more than one file in CL program, and using this open identifier I can read those two multiple files in my CL program. So here you can see the first receive file command is for the first PF, CLPF1. Okay, and then I just retrieve the value, roll number and name into these two variables from that PF, CLPF1. But again I'm using the receive file command, but here at this time with open identifier f2. Okay, and open identifier f2 is attached with or declared with specified, you can say specified with file clpf2. Okay, so this time I'm reading the clpf2, so it will basically here I'll retrieving the value of clpf2 records from the clpf2 into these two variables. Okay, so whenever I am when I am declaring more than one file, I am using the open id. Okay, and when I am reading that file, I would also be using the open id there. But when I'm actually fetching the data from the file, so I have to use that open identifier with underscore at the as a prefix. Okay, so and f2 underscore s2 id. So s2 id was the file field and s2 name was the file field. So I am actually fetching and f2 underscores 2 id and f2 underscores 2 name, basically that those two file fields. That is, if I would show you again, okay, s2 id and s2 name. So using this open identifier concept, I can declare more than one file and can read them. But here in this program you can see I will be only reading the first record, not all the records. Okay, so just compile this, then I'll show you the second program where we'll be reading all the records from the multiple PFs in CL program. Okay, so this program gets compiled successfully. Now let's see this program. So this is also having four variables, the same as declared in CLPGM2. Okay, and having declared these two files, yeah, same with the earlier one, but here I use the concept of uh, labels and go to, also the mon message. So whenever I'm getting, or this procedure is receiving the message ID CPF0864, which means last record end of file has been reached. Okay, so at that time what has to be executed? It the Okay, so the program would be navigated to the go to command label file, this one. So after this label we have an executable line, this one. So this is not an executable line, so the pointer will comes to here while execution. Okay, so this line will get executed once it will execute go to command label file. So it will come here, and this is not an executable line, so it will execute this. So it will now start reading the second file clpf2, having declared with openid f2. Okay, so we can see that we are reading the file, and then after that, once the record fetched, we are uh, again sending it back to the read. So it will be just reading the first file in basically in a loop. Okay, but not exactly the loop. This is the concept of go to. Okay, so the same way the second file gets read. So now here, if you'll see, now we use the openid f2. So basically we are reading the clpf2, with which that openid gets is attached, or is specified. Now the same concept applies here also. If message id cpf0864 with this file, then command label end. Okay, go to command label end. So the command label end is this. If it is not coming, means end of file didn't reach. All the records of the file will get read and fetched into these variables. And here also you can see it will go to the command label file. Okay, so basically it will read the second file, all the records of the second file also. So here also you can see those two f and f2 underscore, that is prefix of that openid with underscore, but after and sign. Okay, this is compulsory. Now you can ignore the sounds coming from the site, as I have no foundations on that, so sorry for that. So let's continue with the third program. So here the same thing is happening. We are reading all the records of the multiple pfs. So here also we did the same thing, but here we are not using the labels or the go to. We are simply using the do while loop, or a loop. So here we applies the condition 1 equals to 1, means this condition will always be true, and hence the loop will always be executed. Okay, so inside that loop I use the receive file command, and then one message, that is message id cpf0864. Once the end of file gets reached, what happens? It will execute leave, means leave statement or leave command will leave from this will leave from this loop. Okay, so once you are executing, you are inside this loop. Once end of file gets reached, or all the records has been already read, then it will leave the loop using leave command. Okay, so after that, once it leaves the loop, it will come to this loop, second loop. So again the loop condition is always true. Okay, then it comes inside this loop, and this will read the second file, that is clpf2, with which openid f2 is specified. Okay, and now again the same thing happens. It will read all the records of the second file clpf2. Okay, and then once end of file condition reached, it will leave from this loop. Okay, and the program will get end. So there are two ways uh, to do that, which I showed in clpgem2 and clpgem2b. So let's compile this also. Restart source. Now I'll debug these three programs, and we'll see what we said exactly that is happening or not. So let's compile this also, the third one, with debug view star source. So now all the programs are compiled. I'll debug each program one by one. So let's now we'll set the breakpoint once the debug source is available in front of us. So let's wait for some time. Call clpgm2. Okay, now you can see this is reading the first file, so I get the roll number as 1 and name as this one. And now since it reads only first record, okay, so the ID is 101, that is student ID, and name is Kenneth. So this will be the end of this program. So here in first program we only read the first record. Now we'll call clpgm2a. We'll debug clpgm2a, where we will be reading all the records by using the method goto and labels, and yeah, sure, the mon message cpf0864 for checking end of file condition in for the pf in cl. So let's set the breakpoint again. Call clpgm2a. So this time the file has record, so end of file condition didn't reach, so it will fetch the first record. Okay, and then go to command label read, so it again comes to this label, read label, and here with read label I have set the command, written the command receive file, so it will read the file again. It will check for that message ID. Okay, so again the second record gets found or fetched from the file, and again it will go to this one, and now this time that message ID cpf0864 received, and it will go to command label fil. So fil does not have any executable command, and this fil is not an executable command, this is a label only. So it will execute the next line just after the fil label. So it will read the second file now, and the same things will be happened as in the first file, 101, and name is this. And now it will read the second record, 102, and name is Chen, ID is this 10, this one. Okay, now as we see that the end of file is and the program ends. Now I'll debug the third program, which is using the loop approach. So we'll show you the same also to you, because that loop signifies the infinite loop, but inside that loop we managed to write the code in such a way that once the end of file gets reached, we will be out of that loop. Call clpgm2b. Okay, so it will read the first record. Now it will read the second record. Now on message cpf0864 reached, and it will leave the loop. Okay, now it will read the second loop. Now here also it now reads the second file. Okay, it will read all the records, and it will leave the loop once that message ID received by this procedure. So we can declare even more than 2 files. Here by using the OpenID concept. So for that purpose you will be just using, say for example, file clpf3, and open id say f3 or whatever you want to give. Okay, it depends upon you. So you can use, yes, you can use the open id concept, and using that you can declare multiple file, you can read multiple file. Okay, so that's all in this video which I want to show. So I think, thank you and have a nice time.